Knox here, and this is my first amigurumi crochet tutorial. And in this tutorial today, I'm going to teach you how to make this, a little jellyfish keychain. Now, you don't have to make him a keychain. You can get these from your local craft or department store or off Amazon. You can just use the ring. You could just not put one on. The eyes I got off of Amazon as well, but you can crochet eyes instead, and I will show you how to make those. And if you saw my other videos, they taught you the essentials that you'll need. The stitches you'll need to know are the magic circle or magic ring, the single crochet increase, standard decrease. We'll be going through front loops to make these frills. You'll be making chains, and the half double crochet stitch, which I'll teach you in this video. I promise this isn't as hard as it may seem. We're going to do this together. Let's begin by showing you what you'll need today. I have these eye pins, but again, you can crochet them, and of course your hook. I'm using the 3.5mm since I'm using a 4-weight yarn. You'll need your scissors, a tapestry needle, keychains, stuffing, and of course you're going to need your yarn. For this project, I recommend black for making the eyes and mouth. We're going to use white to make the highlights on the eyes. If you're not crocheting the eyes and you're using the pins, you don't need this. Now, you want at least 2 colors for making your jellyfish. You want one for the body color and an accent color, and then whatever colors you pick for the stingers. I like doing 2 different colors. You can make them all the same. You can make them any color you want. Alright, let's get started. So to begin with, choose your body color. And I really like this yarn. This was a gift from someone last year. I've already used up 2 skeins of it. The brand is Loops and Thread, and I love using the multicolored yarns for jellyfish. I think jellyfish are a fun, simple, and colorful project to make, and the multicolored yarns are perfect for this. So we're going to start off by making a magic circle. If you don't know how to make a magic circle, I will show you the way that I do it, but it's probably the more difficult way to do so. I would suggest going back and watching my video covering it, or someone else's video if you find mine confusing. I will walk you through it, but it can be difficult for beginners. So the way that I do a magic circle is I take a very long strand of yarn. I come up here and I wrap it around 3 fingers 3 times. I find wrapping around 3 fingers the easiest way to hold the yarn in place. I take my hook. Again, I'm using a 3.5mm because I'm using a 4-weight yarn. And the reason I do this is because I think this works best and there isn't as big a gap between your stitches. First, we're going to go under these first 2 loops, grab the 3rd one, and pull it back through. I'm going to come up here, take that same strand I just pulled through, and pull it through again. Next, I hold my hook, I take this little tail, and move it to one side. I recommend keeping tension within this circle to hold it open. I insert my fingers into the loops here, but you can also just pinch them. And now we're going to do 6 single crochet through that space. There's 1. We're going to go through this loop. We're going to pull up the yarn over, pull through, do it again. 3, 4. Make sure you have enough loose yarn to work with. So remember, don't do this. Don't push your hook through those 2 loops. Go through both loops. 5 and 6. Now we're going to close this circle. What you do is you come down here and you pull slowly on this tail. Now we see the one I'm pulling is this one. So I'm going to separate my loops. pinch the top of the one attached to my tail and pull it towards me. Gently though. And that will close this other loop. Now we're going to grab our tail and pull the other loop closed as well. And there you go. That is the end of round 1. Our second round is our first increase round. We're going to put an increase into all 6 stitches so that we end up with a total of 12. Now, I would advise people to use a marker to keep track of where your round ends. To do that, you can just take a scrap of yarn, push your hook into your last stitch, loop the scrap over it, and pull one side through that stitch. Let's do our first increase round. So you go through that first stitch. Make sure you go through both loops. Sometimes that first stitch can be a little difficult. Pull that yarn through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through. Tighten. That's 1. You're going to go into that same stitch. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. That's 2. Now go into your next stitch and do the same thing. 2 single crochet in this stitch. That's our 3rd single crochet this round. Do it again. Same stitch, remember. That's 4. Next one. That's 5. And again. That's 6. Tighten that. Next one. That's 7. Pull out some more yarn. Single crochet into that same stitch. That's 8. 9. 10. Remember to give the yarn a tug after each stitch. 11. And 12. There. We now have 12 stitches. So we're going to move our marker here and start our next round. Okay, so in this round, we're going to increase our stitches from 12 to 18. What we're doing is we're increasing by intervals of 6. We have 12 stitches. We want to increase 6 times evenly around. To do this, we're going to put 1 single crochet into that first stitch. In the second stitch, we're putting 2 single crochet. That's an increase. In the third stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. In the fourth stitch, we're going to do an increase. And the next one, we're going to do a single crochet. In the sixth stitch, we're going to do an increase. So you're going to do that same pattern for the last 6 stitches. Single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. And I'll meet you at the end. Now we have 18 stitches. We're going to do one more round of increases. We're going to increase from 18 to 24. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then an increase. Okay? I'll do a few with you. The first stitch is 1 single crochet. In the second stitch, we're going to do another single crochet. In the third stitch, we're going to do an increase. we're going to put 2 single crochet into that third stitch. Fourth stitch, 1 single crochet. Fifth stitch, 1 single crochet. And in the sixth stitch, 2 single crochet. And that's what you're going to do all the way around till the end of your work. I'll meet you there. That was our last increase round. Before we continue, it's time to attach our keychain. If you're not adding a keychain, you can just sew your tail into the back loops of your work here before you cut the tail short. So now, I'm going to show you how to attach it. You can do this with just the ring, that's totally fine. Just sew it a little loosely so the ring has space to move. Let's remove our hook and our marker, flip your work, and grab your tapestry needle. Now at the end of your tail phrase, and it won't push through that needle, just cut a small piece off the tail. This is part of the reason we have a long tail, just in case this happens. You're going to take this and push that needle through the middle of your project. Grab your keychain, push that needle through the last link. Now you're going to push your needle through an adjacent stitch to the one you came out of. Don't go back here, instead one of these. Come back up through the middle again, back through the link, and back through that second stitch. I suggest doing this at least 2 or 3 times to secure it. I'm going to do it one more time. There we go. Now, if you didn't add the keychain, you will want to do this next step. You find the back loop, pull your tail through it, but keep a small loop open. Wind your needle through that loop and then pull tight. And there you go. And you can cut your tail. And that's how you attach your keychain. Now that we've done that, we're going to start crocheting again. Put your stitch marker back into place. For this round, we're going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around for 1 round. So 24 single crochets total. You're not increasing, you're not doing anything else but putting 1 single crochet into every stitch. I'll meet you at the end. We've reached the end of our first round of single crochet. This time, do not move the stitch marker. Instead, take your hook out. You're going to insert your hook into the stitch next to your stitch marker. Push it into the stitch where the marker is. Remove the marker, loop it over your hook, and pull one side through. This will keep it from accidentally being pulled out. Grab a second stitch marker and place that into the last stitch of the last round one we made. Now you're going to do 3 more rounds of single crochet just like the last round. Move your stitch marker at the end of each round. I'll see you in a minute. We just finished our 4th round of single crochet. There's our stitch marker, and I removed my hook. Now, this is the round we're inserting our eyes into. If you aren't using eye pins, leave this marker where it is for now and skip this part. You can put the eyes in any stitch so long as it's on this round. Take your second eye and you're going to count 5 stitches from your first inserted eye and insert your second eye into that 5th stitch. You can play with the placement. If you decide you want your eyes lower, go for it. If you want them more spaced apart, I kind of like them where they are. I would advise keeping an even number of stitches between the eyes. And don't forget to snap your eye backs into place. I like where his eyes are, so I'm going to remove this stitch marker. If you're crocheting eyes, leave it where it is. Get your hook ready again, because now we'll start decreasing. To start our decrease round, we're going to chain 1. Now, we're going to decrease into the back loops of our stitches. And the reason for that is when we make our frills, we attach new yarn to those front loops. Right now, we want to go into the back loops. So what we're going to do is go into the back loop of that first stitch. Grab our yarn, pull up a loop, but we're not yarning over. We're going into that back loop of our next stitch. Pull up another loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Tighten. The reason I began with a decrease this round is because with that chain that we started off with, it can be difficult to do a decrease at the end. So we're going to start with our decrease. We're going to do 1 decrease, then 2 single crochet. 1 decrease, 2 single crochet. And we're going to repeat that to the end. So now we're going to single crochet into the next back loop. And the 3rd one. Pull up and yarn over. Now these next 2, we're going to do a decrease again. So we're going to go into that back loop. We're going to pull up. We're not going to yarn over. Go into the next back loop, grab the yarn, pull up, and yarn over. And the 5th stitch is a back loop single crochet. And the 6th stitch is the same thing. So you're going to do that all the way to the end, and I'll meet up with you for the last few stitches. So we made it to our last 4 stitches. We're going to do 1 last decrease and 2 single crochet. Go into that back loop, pull it up, go into that second one, pull it up, yarn over, and decrease. And single crochet into the next 2 back loops. Now this time, you're not going to move your stitch marker into this spot. Instead, take the stitch marker out. Remember, we made that chain 1 at the start of this round. So instead, you're going to skip that chain, go into the first decrease we did. Pull your yarn through, and pull it through the loop on your hook. That's a slip stitch. That's how we'll join rounds sometimes, but for now, just put your marker here. And we're going to continue on with our decreases. Our next decrease round is going to be single crochet, then decrease. So I should point out when making amigurumi, I don't often decrease in the same spot. It helps prevent the project from building this weird ridge look. but we'll go over that in another video. For now, single crochet into the first stitch. And this time, we're going through both loops. Then do a decrease. In the third one, go into single crochet. And then another decrease. You're going to repeat that to the end, and you should have 12 stitches. We've reached the end of that decrease round. Take your marker out. This is the point where you can start stuffing your project. You want to make sure you stuff it firmly, but not to the point where your stitches begin to stretch. Something you'll find helpful is a stuffing stick. These usually come with smaller bags of stuffing. This is a broken one I have that my pets have chewed on. You can also use a pencil, a chopstick would work great. Just don't use a pen or you'll end up marking your yarn. For now, we're going to do our last decrease round. There's no need to use a marker. It's the last round. It's okay if you don't have exactly 12 stitches here. If you have 11 or 13, that's fine. We're going to close this project. For this round, we're going to decrease across all 12 stitches. So go into that first one, loop up, go into the second, pull through all loops. You're going to repeat that 5 more times. I'm going to stuff it a little bit more. Use your stick to poke your stuffing into the corners of your project. You can also use your fingers to push it around a little bit. Remember not to stuff it too much or your stitches will start to stretch. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Now, you want to cut yourself a nice long tail. So snip that yarn. We're done with this yarn and the stuffing. Grab your loop and pull that tail through your stitch. We're going to sew close our project, which means we need to thread our tail onto our needle. You see these back loops? You're going to skip this first one. Usually when I do this, I go through these two. It pulls the work closed more tightly. Give it a little tug. You can see the stitches start pulling inward a little bit here. Again, you're going to skip the next one. I'm going to go through this loop first, and then this one. There we go. And you do this all the way around until that hole is closed. This time, since loops are so close, I'm going to go through this one too. And I'm going to pull those two sides together. Do it again. When you get to this point, just kind of look for the gaps near each other. This isn't always the way we'll be sewing projects closed, but for this it works perfectly fine. Now we want to hide this tail. I'm going to tuck my needle into the stitch and pull the yarn through. Give it a good tug. Then cut the yarn as close as I can. You can use your stuffing stick to tuck it in also if need be. And look at that! You've finished your jellyfish body. Our next step will be adding our frills by going into these loops, and you're going to learn a new stitch. So now we are going to add the frills. We're going to attach your yarn to the back of the project. You want to grab the skein of the accent color that you chose. In this case, I decided to use white. Find the end of your yarn. To attach your yarn, pick one of these front loops left over from our first decrease round. You're going to push your hook through a loop. Leave a long tail for yourself. And just like when you start a chain, loop that yarn over your hook. Twist and pull through. You're going to pull that new yarn through that loop. Pinch that tail into place, and we're going to yarn over and chain one. Now, we're going to go back into the same loop we started in and make a single crochet. At this point, I'll be teaching you how to make a half double crochet, which is a bit taller than single crochet. It's really easy. This time, you're going to yarn over before you go into that next loop. Go in, yarn over again, and pull up. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. We're going to make another, but in the same loop we just did the first one in. We're going to do this 3 times. This is the second time. You're going to yarn over, go in, grab that yarn, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. One more time in that same loop. Yarn over, go through that loop, yarn over, got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through. That's a half double crochet. Now in the next loop, you're going to put 1 single crochet. You'll see here though, there's a gap between my loops. That's because this is where I started my decrease round. Don't worry, that's fine. Ignore that gap and go into that next loop. You're going to put a single crochet into this loop. If you end up finding yourself at the end of your work and you're, say, short a loop, you can just do a single crochet increase into your last one. It's fine. It sometimes happens. We're gonna start again. Go into your next loop. Single crochet. In the next one, we're going to do 3 half double crochet. So yarn over, go through, yarn over, got 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through. You're going to put 2 more into that same space. You're going to yarn over, go through that loop, yarn over again, and pull through, yarn over again, and pull through. Yarn over, go into that same loop, yarn over again, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, and tighten. In the next loop, do a single crochet. So think of this pattern now as groups of 3. Single crochet, 3 half double crochet, single crochet. I'll do it with you one last time. Single crochet. In the next one, 3 half double crochet. There's 1. Do it again. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through. See, I don't like how loose this stitch is, so I'm going to remove my hook and undo it. Do it again. So there's number 2. Last one. Yarn over, go back in, Yarn over again, pull up 3 loops, pull through all 3. Then single crochet into the next one. Do that all the way to the end. So we just did our last single crochet. This right here was our first stitch. So all we're going to do is push our hook through, grab that yarn, and pull it back through. Now we're going to cut our yarn and use your hook to pull that tail. There's your frill done. Tighten these knots, and I'll show you how to hide your strands. Grab your tapestry needle, thread one of your strands through, and all you're going to do is push into one of these stitches close to where your strand is. Push your way through and bring your needle out another stitch. And tug it through. Now you're going to attach your other tail to the needle. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to take it, push it in, come out the same stitch as that first strand, and give it a tug. Knot these 2 strands together. Make sure they're coming out of the same stitch or you're going to run into problems. Knot them again. Now, take one of those ends and you're going to go back into the stitch they're coming out of. You're going to push your needle through into a further away stitch. Give it a tug. Go back in and repeat. You're going to maneuver this through your jellyfish a few times. Once you've done that, snip the tail close to the work. Get used to scraps of thread just being everywhere. So you're going to do that exact same thing for this other tail. Back into that stitch, push it through, and come out a different stitch. Do it again. It doesn't matter where the tail comes out. You can do that a few times. A couple times usually works pretty well. Hold it tight and snip. There you go. And there's your frill. And that's how you hide tail ends. And next, we're going to make the stingers. Now, I make 6 of them in 2 different colors. You can do however many you want. You can do however many colors you want. If you just want to use one color, that's fine. I just like this personally. Let's actually make our stingers. And it's really simple to do. We're going to start off by making a chain. Attach your hook to your yarn. Yarn over and pull through. That's our first chain. We're going to do this 13 times. You can make this chain however long or short you want. Make the stingers different lengths if you want. This is just the length that I chose when making this pattern. Let's continue. Make 12 more chains. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. To begin, we skip our first chain. Then we do an increase, another increase, and then a single crochet. And repeat that down the chain. So what this does is make the chain curl. The single crochet keeps it from being too tight. As you can see, you can turn it, straighten it, just play with it. But yeah, the increases are what makes it curl. So we skip this first chain. We go into the second and put 2 single crochet in there for an increase. And in the next chain, we're going to increase again. And in the third one, we're going to do a single crochet. Now the next 2 are increases. So we're going to do another single crochet increase. And you can see it's starting to curl already. We do another increase. And the single crochet. Don't worry if you didn't chain in multiples of 3. You can always just wing it. That's kind of the fun of this part of the project. This is just the way I do it. This is a pattern I made. It's just my preference. There's only 4 chains left. Almost there. Single crochet. Then increase. Increase again. And our last single crochet. And there it is. So now I'm going to cut my yarn and pull the tail through and tighten these knots. There's your singer. So I made 6 of these, 3 in pink, 3 in white, as you can see here. Now I'm going to show you how to sew them on. The good news is we don't need our hook anymore. We're almost at the end. We're going to sew our singers onto the bottom here. So it's kind of hard at this point to tell the rounds apart. I like to sew mine in a circular fashion, as you can see here. You can put them wherever you want, but I'll show you how I sew them on. Attach one of your singers to your needle. You want to push through one stitch and come out of the one next to it. And pull the yarn through. Now, rotate the singer so you can push your needle through that first stitch right here. Pull it tight, and then push your needle back into that same stitch we just came out of. Then push your needle up and out another stitch of your jellyfish like this. Now thread this other strand through your needle. This is probably the part I dislike the most about crocheting. Also be careful, don't do this. Now just like before, knot your 2 ends together. Go back into that stitch, and you're just going to push through and come out another stitch. And then do it another couple of times. Cut your yarn. And do that with the other tail. Now we're going to attach our second singer, and this time I'm attaching the pink one. The way I like to do it is I like to alternate between colors in a circle. Again, you can sew them on however you wish, however many colors, whatever length. This is your project. Have fun with it. But to show you, this is what I do. I go into the stitch next to my first singer. I push through and come out the stitch beside the one I entered, just like I did before. Then rotate the piece and push my needle through the stitch right there. Go back into that stitch I came out of. Push through the jellyfish body and come out another stitch. It's just like with the first one. You're going to hide your tail ends inside the jellyfish, then sew the other stingers into place and do the same for them. So I imagine you're very grateful that part is over. If you didn't buy your eye pins, I'm going to show you how to make some very simple eyes. I'm going to use the back of my jellyfish to show you. If you don't have the eye pins, you should still have your marker in place. If not, don't worry about it. We're going to make a magic circle. I've shown you how to do this, so I'm not going to go over this step by step again. But this time, when making the magic circle, before you make your stitches, chain 1. Doing this when we close our circle can make it look more seamless. And you're going to make 6 single crochet into that circle. 1, 2, 3. I need some more yarn. 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we're going to close up our magic circle. Remember, you can just do a magic ring. This is my preferred way of doing a magic circle. You don't have to do it this way. Now, we're going to skip that chain 1 we made, and we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. Cut yourself a long piece of yarn and pull that yarn through. Now, figure out where you want to place your eye. Before we sew it on, there's one more thing we're going to do. You're going to thread a strand of white yarn onto your tapestry needle. You'll see that short tail from the beginning of our circle. This is the back of your work. You're going to push your needle through the back of the circle. Pick a stitch that's close to the edge, come out the front, flip it over, pick a stitch next to it along the edge here, push your needle into it. Now go back into that first stitch we came through and do it again. Give it a little tug. Flip your circle and tie these two ends together. Cut them very short. We're going to tuck them behind the circle when we sew the eye on, which now we're going to move on to. You're going to find the stitch in that round we have our marker. You're going to push through and up into another stitch. Now, you want to attach your needle to the other thread of your eye. Hold your eye in place as you start sewing it on. When sewing, you don't want to start sewing counterclockwise through your yarn. So instead, you want to go into the next stitch, like this. Go through the body also. It doesn't matter where you come out. We're going to thread that tail back through where we came out and under the eye. I come through my third stitch on my eye. Now I'm going to go back one stitch into the second and push my needle through and come out another spot just like the first time. We're going to go back through again and come up through the fourth stitch of your eye. Then come back and go into the third stitch. You can just come up under your fifth stitch instead of going back and forth through the body. It can be a bit trickier to do it this way though. and then come back into your 4th stitch and push up into that 6th stitch. Make sure your needle goes through both loops of your eye. Now I'm going to go back once more. I know this process can be annoying, but I think you understand the pattern of what I'm doing here. And lastly, we come back to our 1st stitch. Then go back through that 6th stitch. And there you go. That's your jellyfish eye. It's a little wonky here, but you can adjust it. This is just a quick example. You can change the rotation, you can move the glare, but that's the basic idea. Then you can sew your 2nd eye over here and hide all of your tails. Okay, so I'm sorry this part looks a little different. I had to refilm this because I lost the footage. I'm going to show you quickly how to make a mouth. You want to insert your hook over here. You see these 2 stitches between our eyes? You want to push your needle out into one of those 2 middle stitches. If you look at the row beneath this one, there should be a stitch sort of positioned in between the 2 above. Push into it and come up into this stitch here. Don't pull too tightly on your yarn. Go back into that stitch right there. Come out of that stitch where our other tail end is. Now you just knot your tail ends together, but don't pull too tightly or you'll warp the mouth. Now go back into that stitch right there and come out somewhere else. Remember, don't pull the tail too tightly. Snip your end. Do the same with the other one. Also, if you ever see a strand poking up, you can use your stuffing stick like this to gently tuck it into your work. And there he is, your jellyfish keychain. He's all finished. Isn't he cute? I know it seems like a lot of steps, but honestly, it's not that difficult. It just takes practice. This is an easy way to get accustomed to crocheting. My mouth here is a little wonky, but I think it adds to his charm. And now, on top of that, this guy here has a little friend. I mean, look at them. You can't go wrong. So if you'd like to learn more, like, subscribe, share, and stay up to date on all of my videos. This has been McKnox, and thank you very much.